Let's grab this shit first. Let's finish up Mahakam.
The Lyrians ascended the highest section of the Mahakam range. Snow crunched under their boots, cold air stung their lungs, and the wind snapped at their cloaks. Meve wiped sweat from her brow and turned to Reynard.
There! By the rocks! We shall...
Shall what?
The rest of her words were drowned out by a powerful blast. The entire mountain rumbled with a low, vibrating roar. The sound grew louder, echoing off the rocks, splitting their ears. The Lyrians looked around, disoriented. Few heard Gabor's warning.
Dinna just stand there! Get behind the rock! Quick! Hurry!
Meve followed the dwarf's gaze and cried out in terror. The snow stuck to the mountainside had started to slide down the slope, sending up mists of icy dust. Before she could react, the white torrent knocked her to her knees, crushing her and smothering her into the ground. All she felt after that was all-encompassing cold and fear. Meve survived. The dwarves who ran to the Lyrians' rescue dug her out of the snow in time. Some of her soldiers were not so lucky. The Queen looked at their bodies, blue, frozen. Next to them lay dead horses, demolished wagons. The losses were enormous. Meve wiped her cheek. Her tears burned her frozen skin. Gabor spoke a while with the leader of the Mahakam Guard Patrol that had come to their rescue. His face was dour.
What? What have you learned?
I tell you all in good time. First, you need a warm drink, good victuals.
No, Gabor. I need to find out what in blazes happened here.
Well, 'twas an avalanche.
Of course it was an avalanche. I'm no fool. But what caused it? What was that noise?
Signal horns. Ours.
So you brought this snow down on us? Dwarves!
Well, aye, but, unawares.
Explain, in brief.
See, we clean our mount regularly. The way menfolk shovel snow off their roofs. Otherwise, the whole shebang would come tumbling down on our heads. When snow's gathered deep enough, we blast our horns to cause a controlled avalanche. Then we need to, sweep up a wee bit and the road's safe.
All well and good, but why did you decide to clean up right as I was passing through?
Wondering that myself. Schedule says next cleaning should have been a week frae now. But someone asked the route to be cleared earlier.
Who?
Meve, I'll tell you. But first, promise you'll...
Who?
Hey. Owain ep Glenvog, the Nilfgaardian emissary.
Oh.
Must have found out you'd be going through.
The bastard. Reynard! Reynard!
Wait! Wait! I understand you're a wee bit upset, you've every right. But you'll never prove Owain meant you harm. The sly weasel make sure he didn't dirty his own paws.
I've no such scruples. I'll find him and kill him.
And then? How'd you tell that tale to Bruva? Meve, you're justly taught, but for the love, just this once, let it go. Or you'll leave Mahakam with nae a scrap to show for it.
Moments later, scouts reported Owain was camped to the north of the accident site. Meve had to decide how much she was willing to risk to get her revenge on the Imperial emissary.
Camp to the north they are.
By the elder sideburns, I'd no notion anyone was in the Vale.
Sure you can. Ugh. I go up here, is it? Stop.
There, my lady, whispered one of the scouts.
Left of the path.
Meve squinted.
Cheering.
The Nilfgaardians had taken shelter from the falling snow under a rocky outcropping. The smell of roasting meat wafted from their campfire, and echoes of laughter could be heard. The black-clad soldiers had reason to celebrate. They had just decimated Meve's company without even drawing their weapons. Meve's gaze caught something else. A metal container into which the Nilfgaardians tossed bones once they'd been gnawed clean. It looked strangely familiar.
Is it a helmet of ours?
Only after a moment did the Queen understand it was an overturned Lyrian helmet dug out of the snowy grave of one of her men.
The Horsons.
Meve hissed.
They'll pay for this.
Meve, asking you last time, keep a cool head.
Whispered Gabor.
You want vengeance? I get it. But think of the cost. If so much as a hair gets plucked from Ovain's head, Bruver will never forgive you. And you can kiss any hope of aid goodbye.
Silence followed, finally to be broken by one of the scouts.
Milady, what's the order? Do we attack?
No.
Said the Queen after long deliberation.
But milady!
We'll get them
They-
later.
I know what they did.
Bide our time.
And that I shall never forget nor forgive.
Said Meve, placing a hand on her scout's shoulder.
But breaking Dwarven law only plays into the Nilfgaardian's hand, causing us to lose allies and our chance for victory.
Meve brushed the snow from her trousers and straightened her spine.
Avenge our comrades we shall. Not here, but in the fields of Lyria and Rivia.
The Lyrians resumed their march with heavy, beleaguered steps. Their path still piled high with the snow brought down by the Nilfgaardians.
Demerits. Who do they think they are? They block the loot. You can't get that. That's sons of bitches. Let's not pass these dwarf people. So,
While passing the mining settlement of Kolstock, Meve heard the sounds of battle.
Hey-ho! Into the fray, lads!
Expecting she would see monsters swarming dwarves, the Queen set off at a gallop to the rescue. Her braid blew about in the wind like a banner, showing her men in which direction to attack. The dwarves she saw, however, were not engaged in a battle against Shaelmars and Barbigazes.
they're all
No,
punching each other.
they were going at one another. Luckily, no weapons had yet been drawn, but given the dwarves have hands the size of bread loaves, this did not necessarily mean there would be no deaths,
Oi, lads!
roared Gabor Zigrin.
What's this foolishness? Calm the hell down, damn it!
Gabor's intervention proved successful. The dwarves limited themselves to verbal jousting. Meve, who was no stranger to barrack room talk, nonetheless turned crimson at the dwarves' cursing. Piecing together the obscenities, Meve concluded they were debating an old quarrel about the height of a certain mountain, or rather of the twin peaks atop it. One of them lay in the territory of Clan Dahlberg, while the other in the Hoogsland. Each family felt their peak was the highest, all measurements indicating the contrary being total fabrications.
Queen,
Started Gabor, nervously chewing his moustache.
they're asking if you, as yin impartial and a fair-minded wench to boot, wouldn't you wish to settle their Egypt squabble once and for all?
Sure.
Meve knew well that this type of age-old quarrel could easily end in bloodshed, so she resolved to help. Representatives of the two clans gave her a strange mechanism she was to use to measure elevation. All that was left was for the Queen to button her coat up to the neck and scale the twin peaks.
Time to end this delicate feud. Once
Okay.
and for all.
Up we go. Heading up the peaks. Here's a peak.
When she and her force had traveled half the way to the first, she heard a long roar that made snow shelves detach and descend. Without waiting for her scouts to return with reports, Meve drew her sword.
Who dare? Fighting on a steep mountain slope is no easy task. The Lyrians struggled to find solid footing on the snow, prepared. Propped by their spears, their eyes squinting under the ice of the brows, whereas the beast they moved with ease, sleeping from rock to rock, long talons against the stone. Short and battle. Do I have my normal deck? I assume so, because it doesn't say custom. Okay. Yeah, everyone's sad from that incident. Okay. It's good because we kept this to get rid of that.
Sod it all.
Sod it. Sod it all. How did that light up? Was he
Eyes
looking
up,
at-
lads! They're
You
flying
may I.
straight for us!
Okay, well they're rear. This one. And Chris gets the sneakers. And gonna hold out on his ability. Get 2 shots, 2 for. You wanna hold out still?
Watch your heads!
Watch your heads. Should find that. That's fine. Another walk. It's not so
Quite
bad.
the clever little contraption they gave us. Work of a gnome, of course.
Oh, the elevation thing. Okay, cool. Hup. Let's play Drama Bone.
Army's a waste of time for one like me.
Army's a waste of time for one like me. I just like playing my drums. I guess Drummer Boy gets us Archer.
Lyria!
That's a bit of a waste, that's fine. Oh, nosies. Oh, there goes that. I think that was the Mandrake. Ferocious Bear. That's fine. Let's play.
Tell me you jest.
And get him back.
Wise choice.
Tell me you jest as I'm cutting the arm off this man. Oh god, let's play this guy.
What's a helmet if not a pot
Get the
turned
Mandrake.
over?
Ah,
What you looking
and I'll
at?
kill him. And then let's damage these guys. Ugh. Fire. Okay. Some healsies, that's good, that's alright.
Getting to work.
Let's give... Oh yeah, we can give charges to that. Let's give one to that.
One goal's all I need.
Okay. How strong Nick is it? He's such a good boy.
I'll relieve you of that pouch.
Oh, of course. I've just been doing all this stuff for nothing? For ages? Question mark.
Take those measurements and let's be gone from this place.
It's interesting I can boost that.
The Lyrians managed to repel the monsters and reach both peaks. Upon each, Meve ordered her men to take the measurements. While waiting, she admired the breathtaking view of the Mahakaman Massif. The dwarven contraption left no room for doubt.
They do say
The
it was
peak
known.
within the Dalberg clan territory was 2 feet higher than that within Hoog territory. Gabor was clearly displeased with the results.
Damn it all! I'd hoped you'd prove Brewer's clan was in the right. He'd have been content to see the Dalbergs knocked down a peg or two, and, possibly, he'd have been more inclined to help you.
Said the dwarf in frustration. Then, after a pause, he added,
Although, only you saw what the device showed, Queen.
You're literally looking through it.
Perhaps you could, recalibrate the results a wee bit?
No.
To lie would be simple, true.
said Meve.
Yet to forget the matter would be so much harder. No, Gabor, I shall tell the truth.
The Queen's tone made it clear the discussion was over. Gabor let the matter lie, and Meve's force began its descent down the mountainside.
I'm actually going to grab some treasure before we go away. It's clear that that peak is bigger. Is this the Twin Peaks? This tiny thing here and that giant thing there? Maybe if the king wasn't such an arsehole, I'd lie for him. But he's a bit of a wanker. Yo, dwarfy boys and lady.
The dwarves of both clans had been waiting with bated breath for the expedition's return and report. As soon as Meve announced the results, the Dalbergs rolled barrels of beer out into the square and began to celebrate. Naturally, the Hoogs were disappointed, yet they accepted Meve's results as final. At last, they had come to trust her.
Yay!
Dalbergs are the dwarves we need. Every hook's a thunder.
Okay, you don't have to be so... like such a sore winner? Is that a thing?